Hey everyone, and welcome to another Firefly Studios video. Aaron here with another episode of the Stronghold Showcase, where we show the best of the best when it comes to fan-made Stronghold maps, scenarios, and sieges. Following on from last episode where we did a Game of Thrones special which is absolutely killing it, I thought it would make sense to go ahead and cover the other titan of popular fantasy, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. So stash away some lemon spread and light up that pipeweed as I show you 5 beautiful recreations of keeps and castles from Middle-earth, remade in Stronghold. Just a quick side note before we begin, I have already covered 2 Lord of the Rings maps in 2 previous episodes of the Stronghold Showcase, so if you want even more Tolkien based maps after this video, head down to the description because I'll drop a link to both the episodes there, as well as the links to the maps featured here. Now enjoy. First stop on our Stronghold sponsored tour of Middle-earth, and we find ourselves in Osgiliath, assumedly the version from the Second Age, as it seems to be fully operational and suffering no breaches. This invasion scenario is courtesy of Taurus 480 and is part of a map pack featuring 3 other invasion maps including Minas Tirith, Helm's Deep and Orthanc. The map features the round design of Osgiliath well as it sits on the river of the Anduin, with Osgiliath's 3 bridges. One second while I pronounce these. Ornanoil, maybe. Belligeant, maybe. And Harbour, that one I know how to pronounce, serving as the attacking funnels for the invading battalions. It's extremely detailed and possesses enough potential in strategic positioning for the defender to orchestrate a range of different formations in order to block the advance over the river. So if you're feeling a little vengeful after that sneak attack from this handsome devil and his band of hideous underlings, quiet. Make sure to get this downloaded along with the 3 other invasion scenarios now available in the Lord of the Rings map pack on Stronghold Heaven. Next we step outside Osgiliath to the wider lands that it lies within. Mapmaker Scarge has already written up a good description of his creation, so I'll let him take the floor. The War in the East map is based on the Eastern conflict and is representative of the war between Gondor and Mordor. Gondor controls Minas Tirith and maintains skeletal control over Osgiliath. The hobbits are making their way to Mount Doom, the rangers who escorted the hobbits are returning, and 2 surprise reinforcement armies are due to show up sometime during the siege of Minas Tirith. Mordor is currently laying siege to Osgiliath, while the army due to attack Minas Tirith makes its final preparations. Shelob threatens to stop the hobbits in their tracks, and Sauron can soon expect a helpful hand from the tainted men of the East. Intended for an intense 1v1 as Scarge says, this map will pit the forces of Gondor against those of Mordor. But what's great about this map is that all the armies are already mostly produced. So you and a friend can just jump in and have at it in a massive multiplayer skirmish, which Crusader is great for. Scarge does well to represent the multiple armies of the Siege of Minas Tirith and the Battle of Pelennor Fields, as the Army of the Dead, Faramir's Rangers, and the Rohirrim are all represented in the mould of Crusader units. And shout out to the Assassins getting the OP Army Award, which I personally think is very accurate. Now for a land that doesn't get enough love in the circles of the Stronghold map makers in my humble opinion. Chrysius has done a great job creating Rohans Realm of the Westfold, which you may remember from this sequence in the 2 Towers, which in itself had more emotional punch than the entire Hobbit trilogy. Now this is up there with one of the most beautiful fan-made maps I've ever seen on the Stronghold 2 workshop. The terrain is thoroughly detailed, the placement of the trees, rocks and rivers comes off as realistic, and the spacing between all the elements allows for a pleasing amount of land for the map to breathe. It also helps that the battlefield is well balanced and allows for players to experiment with an elevated defense to build their castle upon, allowing for some great shots which I fully appreciated. So if you'd like a more humble, rustic province to lay claim to in a session of Kingmaker, then you can head over to the Steam Workshop page and subscribe to have it appear directly in your map library. Branching out even further, and we have Middle-earth itself, containing most of the previous locations in one big map. Here you can experience defending and attacking the likes of Mordor, Gondor, Rohan and Hobbiton, with the bonus choices of having Mordred and Vlad control the Eastern Kingdoms if you wanted to go all in with the Lord of the Rings aesthetic. What puts this particular skirmish map above all the other Lord of the Rings choices in Stronghold Legends is the addition of estates covering minor locations within the books, as Edoras, Khan Dûm, and even the Iron Hills make an appearance amongst a whole bunch of other locations the more hardcore Tolkien fans might appreciate. Also, with Legends having the advantages of actually being based in the realms of fantasy, this map is for Stronghold fans who want the best available video game chance within Stronghold of retelling the tales of the War of the Ring, with the chance to employ all manner of legendary beasts to your army. Unfortunately, there are no eagles in Legends though, so there's going to be no one to bail you out if you're finding yourself under siege from Mordred and Vlad. Okay, so for this next one you'll have to bear with me. As with most episodes of the showcase, I like to put a ridiculous map in the mix for those players who just enjoy weird scenarios where you can conduct a medieval battle on a football field or battle a bunch of lions. So with that said, get ready, because in Decent Powers 4 castles, you'll be able to have up to 8 players crammed into the map with 2 starting locations in each Lord of the Rings castle. So prepare to go toe to toe from the get-go as you build your castle in the marshes of Mordor, literally right next to another lord or lady, as you fight over the resources in a place full of goblins, orcs, and Nazgul. While certainly not the prettiest map, especially when you compare it to the Miss Universe winner worthy The Westfold, I just can't get that terrain detail out of my head. It does supply an ample amount of battles, besieging, and conquest based on your favourite Tolkien castles and keeps in a single multiplayer map. So for those who aren't too worried about how pretty the lands are that they are about to lay pillage to, make sure you're subscribed to this one on the Steam Workshop. So that was another episode of the Stronghold Showcase where we finally went fully into the Tolkien fandom hole. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, we recently released a Stronghold Showcase with maps based on George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, and I'll wager that if you're interested in these maps, you'll be interested in those as well. So make sure you check out that video, which should have been appearing on the end slate as I've been talking right now. But as always, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe here on YouTube for more Stronghold goodness every single week. See you next week.